Like, I don't want there to be any drawbacks.
Yeah,
And
everyone
yeah,
wants that. That's what we wanted.
honestly, yeah. I want that for everybody. I really am a free speech fundamentalist, but people only really want that for themselves,
Yeah,
generally.
now they don't want it from
Like,
anybody else. They don't want to listen to anybody else doing that if they don't agree with them.
yeah, this guy would not, for instance, want to hear a black nationalist do that, you
No.
know?
Continuing with the focus group, Solus Anderson brings in another guy named Krupal, who is Asian.
Okay.
Krupal. He is Asian, 22, and a medical assistant from Maryland.
Ooh,
He-
Zoomer Republican based.
Oh my God.
He says, I would say you're not allowed to be free anymore. Due to the internet and social media, a bunch of trolls have gotten so much power, they're constantly out there to play gotcha, so you got to be cautious. The trolls are out of control.
The
folks.
trolls are at it again, folks.
They've seized control of our society.
I'm sorry. If you're a 22-year-old and you're not one of the trolls, what are you doing?
Yeah.
See, you're like, dude, if you want this power, seize it. Don't complain
Yeah.
about it.
Don't get mad. Get even.
Exactly.
Uh,
Like, I like these old guys. I get it. They're like they don't know what to do except like go to Facebook and yell at their grandkids who aren't going to pay attention. You're a digital native. You should know what to do to strike back. You should be like swatting people. Why are you complaining to a focus group?
Patrick Healy, the New York Times journalist, he interjects here, and he asks, for those of you who this has happened to, where you've expressed an opinion and you feel like people have come after you or gotten angry, where does it happen? Danny says, I've been a realtor for 22 years, and I've lived in Orlando for 44 years. I have a pretty damn good reputation. I'm throwing another flag on that play. If you've been a realtor in Orlando for 22 years, I can't imagine you have a very good reputation, at least among anyone you've ever sold the property to. He goes, about a year and a half ago, I was the president of one of the homeowners associations in our community. Okay. We're beginning to, the evidence piles up here. He goes, an Asian woman got into an argument with us. When I say us, I mean the whole board. That night, she went and wrote a review on my business page saying that I'm racist. My parents are Lebanese. I was beaten up every day when I was a kid because I'm Arabic. But I'm born in America. I'm not racist. I love cultures. I love languages.
Big culture head.
I'm a big fan of languages personally. So he says she wrote a nasty review and Google won't take it down, even though she wasn't a client of mine. She never bought a house from me. She never did business with me, but she said that I'm a racist. That's what's happening today. And that never happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And you know what's worse? You can't stop it. Robert said, I agree with what Danny's saying. People become judge, jury, and executioner. It could be at work, even at church. If you've got a different viewpoint than the other people and you're in the minority, then you could be, what do you call it, bullied? Now, I mean, and again, this is both a phenomenon of the internet, sort of laying way, like we said earlier, about sort of dissolving notions of community. But keep in mind that the sort of the standard American conservative male point of view was the majority until very recently, and increasingly that's not the case. Culture does change and evolve due to a variety of different means. Whether you think that's fair or engineered in some way is sort of pointless because an increasing number of people that they have to deal with that is now sort of considered a cultural sort of common denominator or starting point makes them feel like they're being bullied or that they fall outside of that sort of comfort zone and they feel like they're on the other end of it. And I think it's like a lot of conservative fears about racism or immigration. It's just sort of it's tied up in this idea about I hope I'm never treated like I've treated everyone else my entire life for being different than me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have been able to bully people and dominate and be a dick. And that's cool. And I like that. The idea that I could ever be subject to that, no, thank you. I'd like to opt out.
Well, I mean, they are getting their wish of being able to do it again.
Well, I mean,
you could just do it to public school teachers now.
Yeah. And also, we talk about partisan sorting of the population. That is also now turning into literal geographic sorting. We're moving into more politically homogenous communities so that you'll be able to just go hog wild.
Yeah, I mean,
but thanks to the internet existing, still imagine that somewhere somebody is canceling you, so you get to feel oppressed, even even while you're just like glorying in your uniformity.
Or like not just imagine that someone out there wants to cancel you, but be exposed to like many people out there, strangers or even theoretical or real people who don't respect you, don't care to be bullied by you, or in fact are interested in bullying you. And like I
Yeah.
think a lot of what people feel or experience as like freedom or liberty in this country, whether they feel they are free to exercise it or be themselves or not free, I think largely depends on how free they are to bully others not like them, free from
Yeah,
social
exactly. Yeah.
consequences.
Yeah, no,
Because yeah, like
that's American freedom.
that's what feeling freedom feels like, is that you can
Yeah.
like you can enforce a conformity of belief through like social shame and pressure on those that are different than you, without people scolding you or you having to feel bad about it.
Yeah, and the internet has democratized that sense of entitlement, but that is something that cannot be democratized because it's an incompatible thing. Like
Yeah.
some hegemonic thing has to be asserted, and that's why we're splitting into two competing hegemonies because you can't have one when everybody is imagines themselves to as part of their like existential freedom the right to that unimpeded domination of those around them.
Maybe one of the like only good jobs that will exist in the future, new good jobs in America, will be that you can move to like a politically homogenous community and be the guy that people yell at.
Yeah. And
Like
then
you can, yeah, you
Sort
can,
of like
yeah,
the
you
town
can.
dunce or something.
Exactly. Like we're gonna bring back town fools, but being a town fool means like maybe you like move to the villages and you're like, oh, I think it's offensive to have Christmas. We should have Black Lives Matter Day where white people kill themselves on December 25th, and then everyone yells at you. But then on the other side, you could move to like like somewhere in the Bay Area and be like, I know not all men. I'm wearing a fedora. I love Infinite Jest, and
And then
you could just be like town dunce is as well paid a position as like corporate lawyer or something.
yeah.
You make $300,000 a year.
Yeah, we need like the sin eater of the community. You put them in the stockade and people throw vegetables at them, but they're making well into six figures. So as long as you don't, seriously hurt them, you can't.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a great job.
I would love to do that
That because
job.
like that'll use trolling to like societal benefit, because like if you just like plant trolls in their opposite communities, like all the social pressure can be offloaded onto them, but in a kind of like safe and consensual way.
Yeah, I would love to be the town fool of the villages or like Stone Mountain, Georgia, and like every town should have like a forum or like a mini Twitter, and I would go on and like do call out posts on people for like not giving pronouns to their dogs and shit.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay!
Yeah,
All
that would be
listen. The
yeah,
words of Caesar.
be a fun job for me.
Patrick Healy interjects. Robert, is there something specific that you remember happening? Robert says, I voted for Trump. I like Trump from when he was with The Apprentice. I knew him as a business person. That's why I voted for him. And then, oh Lord, from church to every place, people just had a problem with it. You can't have a different viewpoint. Christopher says, I just want to harmonize with what Robert is saying. I don't even know if you guys have heard this term, but I've been called coon and Sambo in every word in the book. But when it came to Trump, everybody is so focused on the sound bites. But when I show them the executive orders that he's done for so many different cultures and people that are part of America, they don't want to hear it. They only want to stick to the sound bites. That's when I realized just how irrational so many Americans are, and I blame a huge part of that on the media. Derek says, I mean, even before the information age, talking about politics inflamed people. Even before the information age, talking about religion inflamed people. Now you've got access to all this information through all these different sources, so it's coming at you fast and furious. But for me, the same thing's been happening forever. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you talk about politics, you get into a heated argument. Because like Derek, like that seems like a sensible point of view. I mean, like it sort of used to be like it's in mixed company, it's bad manners to bring up issues relating to politics or religion for precisely this very point.
Right. I
Mhm.
mean, I think what they're I mean, obviously, like, it's very it's juvenile to be like, the people with different, political beliefs than me disagree with me, and they don't say that I'm right when I talk to them. That's fascism. I mean, you're being a baby, but as you said, it used to be understood that if you didn't want an argument, you won't bring up politics. But part of that change brought about in part by social media is that you can't not talk about politics now because the political spectacle has fused completely to culture. So there's no non-political subject. I mean, obviously, there never is a non-political subject, but until recently, again, there were areas that people understood to be non-political, and now, because politics can't do anything material, it has to uh, like push cultural buttons because it cannot appeal any other way because those functions are no longer up for democratic discussion. Everything is politicized, and so you end up having to get into these fights if you want to talk about anything. And
Yeah,
that does seem like it'd be very wearying.
I mean, like as we've said, like politics is the domain of the freak, the sicko in American life. But we're all freaks and sickos now.
Yeah, we've been freakified. We've been sickified. We've all gone sicko mode, and so
Yeah.
now every discussion ends up, even if it doesn't tip into political conflict, the knowledge that it could really does, like, yeah, poison relations, and it's something that I think younger people don't even recognize because they have grown up that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
and whether you're on Twitter or Facebook or like any social media, and like despite your followers or an algorithm that caters to like your point of view, nothing that you're saying is just truly among friends.
Yeah,
Like it could always, sort of pass through the membrane into some larger community or sphere of belief that is diametrically opposed to yours. I'll just say though, sort of similar to like, Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith. If a joke is good enough, and if a political belief or religious belief is good enough, I think you should fucking be willing to take some shit for it.
yeah.
I mean, I understand, like if you're not wanting to engage with the broader public and it keeps coming to find you, I can understand how that could be annoying. But if you're going to share a political belief publicly, which is what the internet is, you should be able to take. I mean, you should just sort of like have to man up and understand that like some people are going to be pissed at it. Some people may abuse you for it. Some people may get wildly angry at you. But like, if you believe in it strongly enough, I think you should be able to weather that as sort of the price of
Right.
being
But
able
I mean,
to express
as
yourself.
Felix says, like freedom isn't the freedom is the freedom to say and do whatever you want without pushback, without feeling uncomfortable for a second of your life.
Well, I mean, it's such a broad and general thing that you can't like I do not think you can make an all-encompassing statement about it, right? Because like there are so like obviously you're gonna get a million cases of someone saying that they were like canceled or whatever, and it's like, they're like a doctor and they're like, oh, I love like when black people die of diseases, and it's like okay, okay, like I don't really want to defend that one. But then, in the same vein, there are cases of like fucking entire like Twitter and TikTok accounts that are dedicated to like doxing people regardless of whether they're like kids in high school or not
Yeah.
over jokes. And I don't think this is like a thing that like tens of millions of people in American life participate in. It's something that like more people are a part of it than they would have been many years ago, but that's just by virtue of the freakification of American society.
Mhm.
But it's too broad for me to say like you should be willing to take shit,